You're listening to Australia's national youth radio station, Triple J. For more info, go to triplej.net.au.
Welcome to Sunday Night Safran. In-depth discussions on religion, politics and hoochies on Triple J.
Ooh. Hey, rock the vote, Father Bob.
Yeah, the vote.
Rock the vote.
What? The which vote? For Braxy?
There was just an ad before.
Oh, I didn't hear that. No, I was listening to the Nuns Chorus.
What in their head? Maybe listen to what's going on.
I don't. After I've looked at this program that we're going through tonight.
We are talking tonight, we're going to be talking about freedom of speech and other related issues with Democrat Senator Andrew Bartlett.
Don't say nothing.
Well,
right.
I know he had that whole thing where he...
I'm not saying that.
The whole glog, 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 and then smashing the person over. It's not about that.
It's none of that.
It's about... I want to keep it within the confines of talking about free speech and the issue of
what
free
intelligent
speech.
people would expect us to discuss on this program.
Yes.
Thank you.
We also have Cynthia Verspaget.
I'll be leaving for that.
Why?
Because it's all about, look, you've got pretty pink modified eagle mediums with glucose, glutamate.
This is like the worst thing for Father Bob, because what it is, it's a combination of some sort of like performance art that has some sort of erotic subtext. So it doesn't tick that box.
No.
But the other box it doesn't tick for Father Bob is it's also this erotic performance art.
No good.
Is discussing issues of stem cell research and scientific advancement.
Exactly. This is a hell of a night.
Goes against the Catholic Church.
Hell of a night. This is for me, and you've cooked it up as the last bloody show. Plus, you've got Jews everywhere. You've got Julian Duband, and you've got Elias Hanna.
You're a fool. Elias Hanna is a Maronite.
He's next door.
Yeah, but he's a Lebanese Maronite
No, he's
Catholic.
not. He's an undercover Jew, I know.
He's a Lebanese Maronite Catholic.
And you make a note here that Brax is a Melkite. Now, what's going on here?
Well, that's the thing. We've got him in. Why? Stop fighting with me. Have a fight with him, Bob.
It's the last Sunday.
Be brave.
It's the last Sunday.
Yeah.
With who? How big is he?
Good. Have a fight with the
big is
Lebanese
Elias?
Maronite.
No, I won't.
When he's not here.
No.
And then he steps in here. You'll be, oh, hello. I've always respected your culture and your customs and your thing. You know.
I have. I can do all that.
Yes, but I'm trying to expose you for the hypocrite you are. But you seem to be going over your head.
So tonight's expose the fraud.
And then he's going to be talking to us all things Lebanese and all things Maronite, and we'll get to the bottom of whether Victoria's great leader, Steve Brax, is a Maronite or is he a milk-kite?
Or whether he's kryptonite.
And that's certainly a subject that's interest to everyone.
Oh,
not only all over Australia, all over the world.
Cronulla.
All over the world.
Very interested.
Not just me. And we have Julian Duband, past director of the Liron Choir.
Jewish.
Yeah, so I'm proud of my
I haven't
Jewish roots.
Where's the Aramaic? Where's the
Yeah. We never had. What about the Baha'i, the Iranian Baha'is we had?
Yeah, one in 2 years or something.
Well, excuse me. What about Masa Akbari, the the Persian girl?
The Persian girl.
Oh, well, what a surprise! Now suddenly we've had 2 Iranians in.
Yeah, and we know why they don't come back.
What about
because they're set upon by the bloody host.
Kate Hanna, the Lebanese Christian. What about...
but they're not singers.
What about Taimur Hazou from the Australian Arabic... What about Walid Ali?
Oh, yes, nice Walid
Ali.
Oh,
so now that you remember it, your accusations that this show runs on some kind of Jewish supremacist kind of card.
What about Tariq Moussaoui?
I
don't know who he is. Anyhow, there's no Catholic, so I never get a Catholic on here, but except this...
Oh, yes. Besides babbling on for like, what, between 40 and 60% of the time. What's that you got there? What's that magazine?
I've got magazines here.
He has got a right-wing Catholic magazine that he's trying to hide.
Embryos, Ethics and Politics by Dr. Joe Santa Maria.
Is he related to...
Yes, he's his brother.
Really?
What about research using IVF embryos who are going to die anyway? I got all this. It's all here. And I got the medal off the Australia Day. Look at this. I'm an ambassador.
What?
And this bloke's going to run an art gallery exhibition for me. Look at all these lovely things.
Yes, that's great, Bob. I will be back with more.
That's because I'm the activist, not the actor.
Thank you, Father Bob. This is Triple J. I am John Safran. Now, Rocky 6 Rocky Balboa
Yeah,
is the name of the film. The new Sylvester Stallone Rocky sequel.
That my age group has to see, of course. The kiddies won't.
And what I found interesting, I think it's coming out in a few months, is they've started the advertising, the huge marketing campaign for it, right?
Yeah.
And there's the regular marketing campaign for Rocky Balboa, and then there's a second tier marketing campaign for the Christian market in America, because there's just so much money for it, with the whole Passion of the Christ, the whole March of the Penguins or whatever that was, right? So there's a whole advertising marketing push for that market where they're trying to contextualise the Rocky story.
Yeah? Oh, Jesus,
as a Christian story, and they've done a whole.
I know.
Here's a little Sylvester Stallone talking about
nice.
the movie.
I'd like
Listen.
a bit of this.
There's no question about it. Matter of fact, the first thing Rocky does when he leaves the ring, and I don't want to tell people how it turns out, but he points right up to God, and I try to do it in a way that it's not. We're not putting a light on it, but right before he fights, he's read scripture, and the first thing he does at the very end, as the people are applauding his farewell, is he points up to the heavens. So it's like he understands where his strength comes from. He's not under any illusion that he wasn't born with incredible gifts, but he was born with the fire and kind of like the need to carry on God's work, and that is bringing people together. That's what he does in this film.
Rocky Balboa. This is from the Christian marketing campaign. Rocky Balboa motivates us to face our challenges with perseverance, community support, and prayer.
I don't. It's all very American to me.
You can go to rockyresources.com if you want to see more of this Christian marketing campaign. We're all like, not all of them, but like the shots that they choose to put up are the shots of the boxer with a priest. Very interesting.
Well, I don't know what you can do with these. Is it a matter of nationality or whether you've got the right endorphins working for you? I don't know. But all that business of God will help you, you know what I mean. But the Americans reckon God's helping them all the time. Have I got this thing too loud or what? You know what I mean? They reckon because of the manifest destiny. Each individual United States of American citizen has got God on his side.
If I had a film out, I would just do anything by any means necessary to get it out there.
So you're saying they've cynically, in fact, or honestly, targeted the fundamentalist Christians who go to anything. See what I mean?
Now, Bob, I couldn't help it. You slipped me a book. You see, you're so awkward
Dickie
about...
Dawkins.
You're so awkward about kind of intimacy and show signs of kind of even friendship, let alone affection.
No, none of that.
That you slipped me this book a couple of weeks ago.
Gonzo Judaism.
Where I just thought like you'd sort of like receive this free book from somewhere and you're just passing it on. And then I realised, first of all, you'd written an inscription in it.
Beautiful inscription.
And then I saw the price tag on the back. So this was it was actually a present.
But you can't read barcodes.
It was actually a present.
Yeah, actually a present.
Well, why didn't you tell me it was a present when you gave it to me?
I have actually given Safran a present, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, thank you,
Is there any hidden agenda? Now, what are you going to give me one?
Yeah.
You're not going to give me Dickie Dawkins, for God's sake. Don't give me Dickie
Father
Dawkins.
Bob,
Don't throw me in the briar patch.
You have to read this.
Dickie Dawkins,
This is Richard Dawkins, the world's most famous atheist and Darwinist.
I swore I'd never read that.
You have to read this book, because you know what I've done?
What?
I got this as an audio book. It's like a 14-hour audio book. I'm into about hour 3 at the moment of Richard Dawkins laying the boots into your side of things. It's fantastic, though.
He knows nothing.
No, Bob, I insist you read this.
He knows nothing.
I should put an inscription in.
What shall
I write in the front?
Dear
Bobby?
In this sign, conquer.
Dear...
Insignio in hoc.
Bobby.
Conquesti or something.
You are...
Have smelly feet.
Okay.
Oh, that'll do.
From? Let's make
Johnny.
it from. I don't want to... I remember once my dad...
Jacko.
My dad used to sign my birthday cards from Dad. And I had it out with him. I just said... I'm from your line.
Well, he's got to be accurate, you see, because he's a bookkeeper, isn't he? Let's be accurate.
My dad also sometimes says, I'll pass on my regards to someone. I go, you know Michelle quite well. It's going to be love. It's going to be, you've known her for well enough that actually regards is more an insult. Dear Bobby, you are okay.
Respect I use
from
now. Put respect.
John. Oh, yeah.
From Ali G. Mr. What's his name? Safran. No, Baron Safran. Give me that. Oh, thanks, John, for this, ladies and gentlemen.
You have to read it.
Oh, look at the size of the blood. This is for the lavatory, this one.
No.
396 after I finish pension.
We might be interviewing him
Pension's
next
1,100 pages.
You know, we might be interviewing him next year. So.
What about Hitler and Stalin? Weren't they atheists? He's going to answer all these lovely questions
that's
before
fantastic, Bob. It's like, as if Richard Dawkins, who is one of the top 3 intellectuals, voted one of the top 3 intellectuals in the world living today.
No, he knows nothing.
As if that question hasn't been thrown at him before, and he's not going to come.
What it says, Thomas Aquinas Puffs.
Proofs.
Oh, sorry. Got the wrong glasses on.
I see, because it's the last show for this year.
You can go blue.
You can go blue. And you're hoping Chris Scadden, program manager, even though he's fuming that you're working blue on the last episode, he'll forget about it in 3 months. Very clever.
Deeply religious non-believer. Look at this. Oh, my God.
Can I give you like an example of how he makes you think? I'm not saying he's right or wrong, but he talks about why, from a scientist's point of view, a Darwinist's, it's logical to believe in aliens, or, potentially, but it's not logical to believe in God.
Yeah.
Because he thinks that everything has to evolve from something small to something more complex. So from something very uncomplex to more complex. So therefore it makes sense that on some other planet, over the last billions years, aliens have like slowly evolved, but it doesn't. But for God to be there, God is an evolved figure already. So that doesn't make any sense, because God would have had to evolve from something.
No, God is an evolving figure.
No, Bob, you can be all cocky with me.
Is up that creep.
Oh, yes. Listen, I've heard this guy.
Panel.
The guy's a genius.
Back.
No, read it. You wait till he gets on. He will take you down.
I'm sure he will. I don't believe him. He's never heard of parallel universes. See what I mean?
Yeah,
so you blokes are all stuck in the past, in the bloody Noah's Ark, you lot.
Me?
Yeah, you and him and all the others.
I'm not. I want to be an atheist, but I can't be. That's why I'm reading it. I'm trying to indoctrinate myself to atheism.
You be? Well, you won't get anywhere, because God is not an idea. God isn't. Look, this show was...
Everything you say now, he addresses in the book.
Yeah. Oh, of course,
and wittily destroys you.
Not wittily. He's got no sense of humour, this bloke. What are you talking about?
I know it's pretty tough, Bob. You've dedicated 72 years of your life to this kind of make-believe. So, this is what I want to know.
Look at this rubbish here.
Richard Dawkins talks about some of the other Gospels.
Yeah.
Not the main
Thomas, I know.
Okay, tell me this. Is it true...
Mickey Mouse's Gospel.
...that according to the Gospel of Thomas, Jesus turned his playmates into goats?
Yes.
It is true.
No, in that book probably it is. But they're all they're the fairy tales of the Gospels.
Oh, they're the fairy tale ones, but like Matthew, Mark and Luke, there's
none of
big
that.
distinction. And there. So virgin birth and...
all of excuse me, that's perfectly... Everybody says now you can have virgin birth. Everybody knows that.
Like
Bees, told you, have virgin birth. Parthenogenesis.
Well, enjoy winning the argument now. Bob, you see, this is what... You think by winning an argument with me, you've won some big argument.
Australia's leading religious critic.
Anyone can win an argument with me. Someone could sit there and be both not believe in gravity and also deny the Armenian genocide, and I'd just be sitting here nodding my head because I just wouldn't know what to say.
That's the perfect...
And they'd be walking out of the studio going, ha ha ha, I've won the debate
against Safran.
Oh yeah, I won the debate against gravity and the Armenian genocide. And you haven't. You've just won against me because I'm so thick I can't come up with anything
this show is not meant
sharp enough straight away to fight back.
Conclusions.
You
don't like conclusions.
Can I just tell you, when we have our fights, when I'm driving home after the show, I come up with such killer rebuttals to all your arguments, and I win. I win in the car on the way home.
Yeah, but you're
against
unnerved
every debate we have
in
here.
the flesh.
Yeah.
I don't believe you anyway. Now listen to this.
What?
Have I got a minute?
Yes.
Writing songs is like capturing birds without killing them. Sometimes you end up with nothing but a mouthful of feathers. Isn't that nice?
Who said that?
I'm not going to tell you.
Why is everything a fight?
Tom Waits.
Oh, yes. No, he would have said it like this. Writing is like a bird.
I like Tom Waits. He's
Tom
redeemed.
Waits sued some, you know how you have your ethnicity, and so therefore you just reflexively kind of want to stand up for your own people, right? So Tom Waits once sued an advertising agency, and obviously because of my advertising past, I reflexively want to feel a bond with these multi-billion-dollar corporations.
Yes, of course.
Anyway, he sued an ad agency because there was a car ad where the voiceover did the voice that he thought your average person would interpret as him, him endorsing this car or whatever. Took him to court. Sorry, Tommy, I can't be on your side in this. I am an artist. If it was like artist versus accountant, so if it was Tom Waits versus his accountant, I'd be on his side because I'm an artist. But being an ad man from way back, when it's artist versus billion-dollar multinational advertising company, I'm on the side of Adland.
What is his most memorable song?
Something about being in an attic and going back to the old house where you stab the person in the head or something.
Yeah, all of that.
Very spooky.
Anyway, I'm glad I got that off my chest. The Wee Small Hours. Is that what it was called?
Coming up next, hopefully, from the Democrats.
Dr. Bartlett.
Thank you, Father Bob, and thank you for
thank you for having
nationalising the show
for the whole
year.
In
Perth.
I've been very grateful.
As we know, Triple J.
Sunday Night Safran.
Keep it vague. We're Australian. Don't make it
cosmic.
Make no reference to the fact that we're in Melbourne or anything like that. Joining us, hopefully, on the
Mr.
other
Bartlett.
Democrat Senator. How are you?
G'day, not too bad.
Good. I know you're used to like hostile interviewers and stuff, but I can dig up a bit of my past, so maybe you'll feel more relaxed. I've never been involved in any political activity ever. You know, like in party political activity. But when I was in, I think I must have been maybe first year uni or something like that, and my friend was in the Free East Timor movement, Malcolm McDonough, and in Gareth Evans' electorate, the Democrats guy was campaigning against Gareth Evans, the then foreign minister, specifically on a kind of pro-Free East Timor platform. So he dragged me down there, and I handed out, in my only political activity in my entire life, I handed out Vote the Democrats pamphlets.
There you go.
Up and down.
Didn't hurt, did it?
Up and down on rollerblades. And I was... But then I kept it quiet, because like as soon as you kind of play your hand like that, then you kind of just open up for the rest of your life to kind of claims of hypocrisy and all that stuff like that.
Yeah, there's something people feel that if they touch a political party, they're sort of tainted for life. It's a bit sad, really.
Yes. Now, I am usually cynical about politicians, except I happen to be researching freedom of speech issues for this other project I'm doing, and I was quite surprised how often the Democrats have come out and taken uncomfortable but kind of consistent standing up for people's right to freedom of speech, regardless what the issue is.
Well, it's a pretty important one, certainly if you believe in democracy. Democracy's not much use unless you get, diversity of ideas, and you can't have that if people can't say what they think.
And I guess everyone expects people like the Democrats to stand up for the lefties, but you actually made a speech in Parliament where you're having a go at Bob Brown for trying to shut up what people would consider the right wing and what people consider the homophobic exclusive brethren, because they were attacking the Greens and campaigning against the Greens, and Bob Brown didn't like it. And I think did he want a parliamentary inquiry or something?
Yeah, he was wanting to set up a Senate inquiry. I mean, I've criticised the brethren as well. I mean, freedom of speech doesn't mean you let people talk total crap and don't say you think that's total crap. But it's really trying to address ideas and exchange of ideas without attacking people or groups. And I guess the concern I had at that instance was to use the powers of the Parliament specifically to try and target a particular group, basically as revenge because they'd campaigned against the Greens. Now, the Brethren have some very offensive anti-gay beliefs, and they should certainly be criticised for those. But I think using parliamentary procedures just to target and vilify a group you don't like, as a general rule, you should try not to do it. But
why did you decide to take that stand? Because it's like one of these stands that besides me, no one's going to be impressed. Like people, your support base aren't going to be going, oh, good on you, Andrew Bartlett, for standing up for the right-wing homophobic exclusive brethren.
And also, my support base isn't so high. Eh?
Yes, and I guess anyone who would be supporting the exclusive brethren anyway wouldn't be voting Democrat. So why did you decide to go into bat for them? I guess, specifically on the issue of free speech.
Yeah, I mean it was a bit difficult because I wasn't batting for them per se, but I was batting for the principle of free speech, and also not just targeting and vilifying a group. I mean, I'd spent a lot of the last couple of years standing up for Muslim Australians who've been targeted by people in the government, by some in the mainstream media, by people like Alan Jones and others. And my beliefs don't particularly mirror that of a lot of Muslims. A lot of Muslims are actually quite conservative on moral issues, although they're as diverse as any other group. But it's really that approach of as much as possible to try and focus on issues rather than just targeting particular groups, particularly vulnerable groups or ones that are minorities and stand out, and it's easy for everybody to pick on. I think it's just it's really easy to get into that mob mentality where everybody can make themselves feel better by picking on somebody who's weaker, and politics is particularly prone to that. I'm sure I've been guilty of it as well from time to time. I mean, even just the last couple of days when Pauline Hanson's reappeared in the media, it's a fine line to try and criticise what she's saying, which is one definitely should, without getting into just attacking her personally, which I don't think is appropriate or helpful. And sometimes the lines there are blurred, but I think it's important to try and keep ourselves honest as much as we can in these debates, because it's always easy to defend people when you agree with what they think. It's a lot harder when you actually don't. And a
lot of things sound okay on a surface level, like, for example, saying, oh, it's outrageous that these people that are in this right-wing Christian thing that they're allowed to put out pamphlets and put out ads without saying which religious group they're from, and they're going, yeah, good on you. But then you kind of go, well, it's not like every time someone hands out an anti-war pamphlet or an anti-George Bush pamphlet, or you say, well, listen, I must know what your religion is. I must know which party you come from, or else you have no right to hand out that anti-Bush or anti-Iraq war pamphlet.
Well, I think that's right. And, there are rules that everybody's got to follow, and there are certainly allegations the exclusive brethren haven't followed some of the electoral disclosure laws, and that should be followed up through that process. But they're certainly not the only group that do that. They're certainly not the only people who try and hide behind others and fund others to say what they think, or to fund others to run, to put out shit sheets around the place. So, and again, it's, as I'm sure Father Bob would recognise in the political debate, that the lefties complain about the churches being involved in politics when they talk about gays or abortion or whatever, but they're all happy for the churches being involved when they're talking about poverty. So I think you've got to try and be consistent.
I know. I read this article by David Marr, the journalist, where he was trying to paint the worst possible picture, sort of in this kind of subtle and, I guess, fair way, but still about the exclusive brethren, and he was talking about how during one protest, I think it must have been about abortion or something associated, they dressed up as skeletons in their protest and walked through the streets, and this was meant to be this, I can't believe they do that. And I kept on thinking, I can think of another political issue and another group where they often dress up as skeletons and walk through the streets. But
yeah, I mean, and the flip side provides, a lot of the government people are all defending the exclusive brethren and say, right to religious belief and all that, which is true, but it'd be good if they did the same when the Muslims are getting kicked in the head, as they are much more frequently.
Yeah, for sure. And the and the other criticism that was brought up was that there's plenty of, I guess, lefty groups that sort of get into this kind of weird zone, like the Wilderness Society, putting up websites saying, vote for the environment, and the whole art direction kind of looks like the art direction of the Greens part of Bob Brown's Greens parties, even though it doesn't exactly say vote Bob Brown's Greens party. So there is a bit of inconsistency of just like laying into the exclusive brethren.
Well, I think if, as I say, you've got to try and put yourself above the specifics and try and look at the consistency of principle. And you use the Wilderness Society example. They do a lot of good stuff, but quite clearly, at least in some circumstances, they are basically a campaigning arm for the Greens. it's a bit hard then to criticise other groups that become a campaigning arm for other political parties. So it's really just a matter of trying to be more consistent in your rhetoric, and I think as much as possible, not just attacking any groups or people, but attacking ideas you disagree with. And I don't think we get enough of that in politics. I think the whole way it's dealt with by the parliamentary press gallery as well as anybody else is really as some sort of soap opera or some sort of B-grade boxing match. And
that's the only bit I like. I'm often watching just before
well, that's
Rage.
why they do it.
Just before Rage comes on, I'm often watching Parliamentary Question Time, and I reckon they should adjust their speeches. Everyone in Parliament should adjust their speeches to the fact that the only audience who ever watches them is kids. Just before Rage comes on.
Yeah, I mean that's why.
Maybe you
can't
can
blame the media for doing that.
Yes.
Can we do anything about
stuff you want to hear?
John O, before we lose Mr. Bartlett? Are we going to do anything about radioactive waste management?
Well, I think the issue there, before we just go off on some totally other tangent,
is
because
I don't want to lose you.
That was another issue where I guess there was a sort of a contradiction or a kind of a clash of values where some people were saying, well, the Aborigines deserve self-determination, but then when their self-determination is, can we dig a mine on our Aboriginal land? Suddenly, then they're not into self-determination anymore.
Well, it's that consistency of principle, and certainly I think, every principle, whether the same as free speech, has got its limits. I think nobody supports snuff movies or child pornography, so every principle has its limits. But I think self-determination of Indigenous people is a very fundamental one, and it's a great phrase everybody loves to use. The government uses it when it suits them, the lefties use it when it suits them, but when it doesn't, and this was an example, there is a group of Indigenous people in the Northern Territory that are exploring the possibility of having a radioactive waste facility, putting it on their land, obviously in return for some money and perhaps other support. I don't want there to be a radioactive waste facility. I'll certainly continue to say that, but if it's within the law, they've got a right, to make that decision about what happens on their land. And I think you've got to, you can't just support self-determination when it's convenient. Drag out the Indigenous people when they're against a mine and say, we've got to respect Indigenous rights. But if they're supportive of one, then you've got to respect that principle. And frankly, Indigenous people have been used when it's convenient a lot of the time, and every other time they're the bottom of the pile. And I for one, will feel all people across the political spectrum really be putting much more priority on listening to what Indigenous people think rather than just telling everybody else what we think.
Now, there was one time in Parliament where not only were the Democrats standing up for free speech, but they were being a bit postmodern. It was almost like some sort of creative performance art, where this is in regard to Philip Nietzsche, because there were laws. Philip Nietzsche is the famous euthanasia doctor in Australia, and last year there was a very under-publicised change to legislation with the Suicide Material Related Offence Act, where and it's very strange legislation, because it's got to do with, we can no longer, since this happened since 2005, at the end of 2005 I think, where you can no longer fax or email or post on the internet kind of euthanasia information. And it's just it's bizarrely not only hypocritical, but it's strange, because it's for example, you can print, The Age could print an article, or the Sydney Morning Herald could print an article on euthanasia advice, except you can't email the article, the journalist couldn't email the article to The Age to print it. So it's there's all sorts of inconsistencies. And Sandra Kank, am I pronouncing her name right?
Yes.
Who's a Democrat, she thought, the way to get around this is for her to actually, during a parliamentary speech, to kind of go through methods of suicide, and then it will be forced to be put in the Hansard, the record of Parliament, and then the Hansard goes up on the internet. So this will be a way for suicide-related material to be published on the internet. And what happened there?
Well, the South Australian Parliament decided that they'd, I think for the first time ever, exclude that part from the Hansard so that it wasn't put on the internet. But, I think it's an interesting issue, that one, fascinating one, but the government's intent, or stated intent at federal level, was to deal with suicide chat rooms and that sort of thing as potentially harming vulnerable vulnerable young people. I'm not convinced it would work, frankly, however good the intent. But, again, it's one of those, where does the limits of free speech lie? People always use the example about, you don't shout fire in a crowded theatre and that sort of thing. And certainly there's a lot of views about the ways you should talk about suicide. The media is often self-censored about not talking about somebody having committed suicide, and they'll just say no suspicious circumstances, or they won't say what bridge they jumped off because of beliefs about copycat phenomena. I mean, they're valid concerns to have as to whether it's reflected in reality. I'm not sure, and I guess when I'm unsure, I always err on the side of, well, it's better to let people talk about stuff than not talk about stuff. Sometimes talking about these sorts of feelings can actually help you work through them rather than having nobody to talk to, whether it's on the internet or in person. So I don't think it's as black and white as people have portrayed it.
Apparently there was also some change, I don't know if it was in legislation, but in some bylaw where now also euthanasia books, you can no longer import them or export them. And that was...
Yes.
Also came around at the end of 2005. And the interesting thing I find about this whole thing, from a free speech perspective, as opposed to the ethics of euthanasia, is that it's just not really covered in the media. Like I spoke to Philip Nietzsche about 2 weeks ago, and he's just got into all this trouble for trying to get some books in or whatever, and there's court appearances are going to have to happen, there's lawyers, there's all this kind of thing, and it just doesn't get a column inch in the media as a free speech issue.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, and again, looking at it from the free speech side of thing, a lot of the time when the government talks about these things, they're talking about material. They use phrases talking about material that can assist in suicide, and I think, frankly, euthanasia campaigners could be a bit more accurate and acknowledge that suicide is what they're talking about. It's a suicide under particular circumstances, but that's what it is. And so you tend to get people sort of arguing at cross purposes a lot of the time, which doesn't help for informed debate. But I guess when they're difficult issues, as that one certainly is, then sometimes it's easier to just stake out your position, dig your trench, and just throw mud at each other across the no man's land, and those of us stuck on the middle ground get the mud from both sides.
Oh dear. Now, where do you need to take votes from to win seats in the next election? I mean,
everybody.
For everybody. But is that what's confusing for the Democrats? It's like, are we trying to get Labor voters to now vote for us, or are you trying to get Greens to come back, or what do you have to do?
Well, I guess the first thing we will be emphasising is that the key question, which just didn't get a look in last time around, but at the next election, is what do people want to happen with the Senate? Do they want to leave it in the control of one party or one group, or do they want it to have not controlled by anybody, where you get a diversity of opinion and you have to get agreement across party blocks for things to get through, because that means people have to talk to each other. At the moment, government doesn't have to talk to anybody, so they not only don't need to listen, they don't even need to bother to give decent explanations. They just parrot their talking points and bulldoze everything through. So we'll be appealing to anybody that wants democracy to work, frankly.
But that's the argument for the Democrats or the Greens or Family First or an independent. So is this what's so confusing for the Democrats? It's like, how do we... You've got to do two things. You've got to convince people that you need someone in the Senate to balance things out, but then you've also got to create an argument that, obviously it's pretty easy for you to argue why you're different to Family First, but then I guess you have to argue don't vote for the Greens.
Well, we have always tried to be a bit different, and that's made life a bit harder for us, I suppose, because we've tried to always emphasise the importance of asking other people's views and taking into account other people's views, rather than just saying, we've got all the answers, vote for us, we'll fix it, which is basically the model that all political parties, whether it's the big ones or the small ones, take, and say, well, we've got our box of solutions and vote us in there and we'll try and implement them. We obviously have our framework of beliefs and a philosophy as well, but we also believe very strongly that you've got to be taking into account other arguments, because often there's a lot more common ground than people realise, and I think that goes back to what I said before, the way about political debate happens, that people just sit in their trenches and, whoever ends up with the numbers at the end wins, and other views just get ignored. And often if you just take on board some of those other views, you get a solution that will work better and more people will feel ownership of. But that's perhaps a bit more of an intellectual rationale, which isn't easy to summarise in a soundbite for election day.
Is it over for the Democrats? Are you just going to go? die out next election?
That'll be up to the electorate's the obvious answer, but I don't believe so. I think we'll be offering a very strong choice for people. I can only speak of Queensland, I guess, because that's where I'm focusing my energies. I mean, there's different Senate contests in every separate state and territory, and each of them have their own dynamics. And, but certainly in Queensland, we'll have a strong group of people. I think that we did have some Senate polls by Morgan and also another polling company that I saw recently that actually asked people how they'd vote in the Senate, which is a different question. And, we were polling 5 or 6% in those. That's what I got elected on back in 2001, was just over 6%.
Maybe you should go back to... Didn't you used to wear, makeup?
From time to time. I did an infamous photo shoot with a chicken on my knee with a sort of
Marilyn Manson look,
crow-type makeup. But,
I think maybe that can be your angle next election.
Well, you never know. I mean, it's hard to know what works from a media point of view. One time you do one thing.
If you don't start wearing makeup, Stephen Mayne will start wearing it or something, and he'll get in before you.
Yeah, and I'll get told I'm just doing it for cheap publicity, and someone else will be told they're being creative and daring. So you just can't win.
Thank you very much.
I'll just try and be myself.
Thank you very much for joining us.
Not a problem.
Thank you, Father Bob.
Is it Rakim or Rakim?
As in Eric B. and Rakim.
Yeah.
Thinking of a master plan. I've got nothing but sweat inside my
Exactly.
hand.
Is that...
I think of all the devious things I did. I used to roll up.
Rakim.
This is a hold up. Ain't nothing funny.
I won't ask any further questions.
Father Bob, I notice your people are getting closer and closer to power.
Poor buggers are. Where are we?
Kevin Rudd.
Oh, no, but I've told you before, he's an Anglican.
Kevin Rudd,
born
new opposition
Roman
leader.
Catholic.
You're saying he's not a Catholic?
No. Now, last week I was right about Bolt's son. Tonight I'm right about Rudd. He was born a Catholic, but he converted to Anglicanism.
Very interesting.
Yeah, don't you do research?
I knew his hero was Bonhoeffer.
Yes,
who
Protestant.
was
a Protestant.
Lutheran.
A Lutheran.
A Lutheran who got
hung because
by
he stood
Hitler.
For, not personally by Hitler, but he stood up for his conscientious rights. So,
now, you say that book is worthless by atheist Richard Dawkins.
I'm saying Dickie Dawkins. This is the Dickie Dawkins.
God Delusion, but he talks about Bonhoeffer in there.
Does he?
Yes.
Let's
I know
Google
this
it. Will we Google it?
About hour 2.5 on my audio book. Yeah. He talks about how Bonhoeffer was against creationism. But almost from a cynical... So Bonhoeffer says, no, we've got to believe in evolution. Yeah. But Dawkins says that the only reason Bonhoeffer said it is that he was smart enough to know that scientists are finding more and more out.
The God of the gaps.
And that that the Christians are going to be left with nothing.
Oh, that's outrageous, honest to God. This is you really...
Can you read that book? Read that book.
Why should I read muck?
Why should you read science?
This is not science. This is Dickie Dawkins' doodlings. What are you talking about?
Coming up next...
Quantum theology.
We have an artiste.
Oh, yes. I'm very nervous.
Did you learn how to pronounce her surname?
Yes, I told you. CyberQuest. Look, you shouldn't do that. Verspaget.
Coming up next with her...
Cynthia.
Incuba bra.
No, surely not.
Sunday Night Safran on Triple J.
Hello, Father Bob.
Oh, yeah, I'm still here.
Joining us is... I'll tell you what, let's divide it. I'll do...
Cynthia...
Just for the sake of this one, maybe I'll do first name, you do second name. We have Cynthia...
Verspaget.
Bio-artist. Just quickly, what's the Verspaget thing? Where's that from?
It's Dutch, but apparently it's shortened, and I have no desire whatsoever to know or hear of the lengthened version. I'm not interested.
I know a guy called Josh Butt, and he's shortened his name from Josh Butlinski, and I'm like,
why would you want to go Butt?
Yeah, but if you shorten it, don't make it. I can understand why you don't want Butlinski, because you never know when the history will repeat itself and he'll be dragged out of his flat in East St Kilda and put under a train. Why make it but? Make it something else. Anyway, you are a bio-artist. Please explain, and use as many pretentious terms as you like, what a bio-artist is.
Okay, well, a bio-artist is essentially a visual artist who talks about or works with biological tissues or biotechnology, and it can sometimes involve sort of commentaries on bioethics or interrogations.
But not just thematically, but like actually.
Oh, actually, well, some bioartists work with these issues in a purely visual sense. Patricia Piccinini, for example, kind of builds little models, little electronic digital images and things like that to do with biology. I personally work with actual tissues, with living tissues, and have worked in a lab as an artist. So my work, it's called wet biology or wet bioart, so it involves actual living matter in some form or other, or the technology used.
And where do you get this matter from? I don't know enough about science to make it any more specific than matter.
Well, essentially, like my first experience as a bioartist was working as a resident in a laboratory at University of Western Australia as a resident artist there. So we had access to tissues, and I had to apply to ethics to actually use those tissues, but we have access to particular scientific cells and cell lines and things like that.
And when you applied to the ethics department, what did they say? Was there some kind of precedent? Like, had other people tried to use tissue before in an artistic field?
Yeah. The ethics committee at UWA is actually very unique. The woman who runs that ethics committee is very interested in artists actually experiencing the process. Unusually, a lot of the committee is actually not very interested in coming across those applications by artists. They feel that they shouldn't be in those ethics committees or taking up their time. They feel that it's kind of a little frivolous. Yeah. So the woman who runs it, Sue, her name is, she's actually quite interested in exposing artists to that process, as well as the people that sort of situate themselves within that committee.
Bob, are you happy with this whole...
Yeah, I'm all right, but I'm going to get nervous when we get to the current topic in the Parliament, which is stem cells, see? Aren't I?
So your work commentates on stem cell research, does it?
Yeah, it includes a commentary on stem cell research. It's a collaborative project between myself and Adam Fianarca, who's also my partner, and we're quite interested in the idea of different types of parenting which don't necessarily involve children. So from our perspective, the stem cell...
If it's not children, who is it?
I think that there are... Yeah, I think there are other models of what parents keep calling unconditional love. Pets, we both feel that being a bioartist and having cells in your charge, looking after cells, can be a form of parenting. And also the process of looking after yourself as well can the child within.
Yeah, and I heard a girl the other night on another program who alleged that a celebrity had bashed her while they were married, a recently deceased celebrity, but she was going wacko on the child within, and how that had got her through the grieving over the last few weeks.
Yeah, I think caring for the self is quite important. Yeah.
But these little stem cells, you see, this is the stuff that came in the mail only the other day.
Yeah, it's a pretty big issue here at the moment. Yeah.
You know, all this stuff from the Roman Catholic Church. Look at this.
Yeah.
See? So what do you actually see if you turn up to one of your exhibitions? Like, what's there?
Yeah. Well, I'm actually, on the opening night, I actually wore the corset. It's actually a corset that's an incubator. And we had cells that were given from Nina Sellers and Stellark during a project they did last year where they had their fat liposucked from their body and put it in a giant blender and blended them together, and they actually took some of those cells.
It lives.
Well, yeah, that was actually fixed and sterilised, but they gave us...
sea monkeys for goths or something.
They gave us some of their fat cells that are actually living...
I've got a
frozen.
few fat cells you can have.
Yeah, I've got quite a few too, yeah. Well, you can actually take stem cells from fat cells now as well, which really makes this therapeutic cloning issue quite quite complex now. I wonder why people keep going on about it, because there are other methods. Yeah, that kind of
but I hope we don't get to the stage where I don't want to be at my age in a position where they're saying, the Roman Catholics are only interested in the unseen end of life, both ends. If in fact there's another position here, like is this a human being or a human thing? Let's talk and talk and talk and talk. We'll have to talk about it, before somebody starts jumping on us and saying that you're, like Dickie Dawkins, that you're all a pack of unthinking Catholic idiots. Anyway, I ran out of words, sorry. Go, I know. It's the last program, for God's sake. But back to your corset. Can we do the corset?
Why are you bringing up the corset,
Because I'm
Bob?
interested in the corset, because it's got lovely things.
Bob, I'm blushing.
Oh.
It's not appropriate.
What do you mean? It's got beautiful things here. A breeder.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
And you quite rightly said that an example of actually, what was those sea monkeys?
Yeah, sea monkeys.
Yeah, I've never seen a sea monkey. Is there such a thing as a sea monkey?
Yes, there is. They're brine shrimp, actually.
This is part of the Techni Cunts Festival course.
Yeah, you have to be careful how you say that.
You do have to say that.
Yeah.
I think
which deals with art intersecting
Mr.
with
Scadden will
future
get
technologies.
Yep.
Have you noticed that, like, when it's, like, pretentious, anything that's usually would be said singular, they say plural, and anything that usually say plural, they say singular.
Yep.
So where people would say technology, they say
Technologies.
technologies.
Yes.
But when a regular person would say, I like films,
Yeah.
if you pretend to say, I like film.
Yeah.
Very confusing. So many tips on this show. Thank you very much for joining us, and
Thanks for
good
having
luck
me.
with the Techni Cunts Festival that's playing in Melbourne, and who knows, might go around Australia.
Yes, be lovely. Thank you for having me.
Sunday Night Safran on Triple J.
Father Bob,
Yeah, mate.
You Catholics always manage to outdo everyone, like, on shock art, no matter what some alternative, performer comes up with. You Catholic, like, you go into a Catholic church and there's Christ outstretched with nails in and
all
blood
that.
dripping and
Yeah.
a thorn in his side or whatever.
Yeah, and Sebastian with the bloody arrows sticking in him.
I was reading this about Rick Santorum, who's he's in the American Senate, and he was known as the Opus Dei's man in Washington.
Oh yes, I've seen articles on him.
He got voted out at the last midterms, but he's still there until that period wraps up. And very big Catholic, full on. And he tells a story about after his wife had a miscarriage, he took the fetus, the 20-week-old fetus. He took it home to show his children.
What, and to tell them what an awful thing or something?
I'm not sure what, but his young children. He took the fetus home to show the young children.
Don't blame his Catholicism, though, for that, for God's sake. It's his own peculiar... What do you mean? Are we training Catholics to take home unborn fetuses?
I don't even know if it's a bad... I'm not saying it's a bad thing. Maybe it's good. Maybe it teaches...
But common sense says it's not good, doesn't it?
To what? But why not?
Take babies dead. There's an interesting thing goes on when your baby dies in the womb and is extricated. Because I know this to be true. I went to hospital once when this was happening, poured water on the baby who had been born but died almost immediately. But the custom there was invite the parents to take the deceased baby home for a day, which I, at my age, was a bit unnerved by it, but that's...
The deceased, so it's being birthed...
Dead.
Yeah.
The baby's dead, but you get to take the baby home,
what are
dead and all as it is.
But what are the practicalities of that? Like with...
What, with refrigeration and everything?
Yeah. Like with...
I don't know.
Like the how long does it take for the body
I
to
don't
start
know.
kind of...
I don't know.
falling in on itself?
I don't know. And I think they go home with you. I'm not sure. Maybe somebody goes from the hospital with you. Now, we're going to end up with bloody things in the guest book that says that priest is stark raving mad because it doesn't happen. But I remember that these people said we get to take the baby, and then the hospital or the undertaker comes to the house and takes the baby away. But you've had time with it.
It's always the most melancholy part of the cemetery. Every other part you can kind of like...
Well, they brighten them up, though.
That's life. But then you go to the little bit where the graves are smaller.
And there's nice things going, like
windmills and
toys,
figurines.
all of that. What do you think of that? You don't like that?
I don't mind. I don't know enough about it. No, I don't.
What do you mean you don't know? But you mean the baby's dead. What do you prefer to...
This isn't shock radio. It's not like I have to suddenly come out...
No, this is intelligent radio.
Come out against...
Not come out against it at all. How do you feel about it, I was asking you.
Who cares? What do you mean, how do I feel? I feel sad that there's dead babies.
There. Yeah.
Well, what else am I going to say?
How do you feel about locating them? Anyway, don't worry about it.
Now, do you think...
Last program should have been intimate. We should have had intimate... Go on.
I think that if you help out a cause, you should have a right to sarcasm.
Yeah.
A recurring problem that I get in is like, I'm helping out on something.
Yeah.
And then, like, I say something sarcastic or whatever, like just being...
During it?
Yeah, and then I get in trouble, and then I get annoyed because I'm like, hang on, I've sort of like... In a practical sense, can I give you the example?
Yes, give me an example.
The Celluloid Soup Short Film Festival that was in Melbourne a few weeks ago, right? I'm a judge. And, which means, I take a Sunday off.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's a big deal or whatever, but, and I have to watch lots and lots and lots of short films or whatever, right? Yeah. And then on top of that, I go on the night.
Oh, yeah.
And I have to watch them again and again in front of the audience or whatever. But that's all cool. I don't find whatever. Then I have to present an award. So then I go to present the award, right? And I have to present the encouragement award. So I just I'm being humorous. I just go, this is the only award that's worse than not winning an award, because the encouragement award basically means you weren't good enough to win, but there was also something about your work that made us pity you. And that's why you get the encouragement award.
Risky business.
And then anyway, so then the girl comes out, the year 11 girl comes out. No, she's fine. I give her the award or whatever. Yeah. Then afterwards, I'm walking down the staircase of the theatre, the Astor Theatre, corner of Chapel Street and Dandenong Road. Walking down the thing, and this guy, he's walking up the staircase, and he goes, oh, yeah, well done on crushing a young filmmaker's dreams.
Oh, my God, have mercy.
And I said, I was all confused, and I go, oh, it must have been because of that joke I said. So I go, oh, I was joking. And then he says, yes, but did she? And then his eyes are almost watery, and he kind of walks off. And then suddenly I'm like this asshole who's like crushed a girl's, as opposed to just this swell guy who volunteered my time, and then put in one little sarcastic comment.
Yeah, I know. See, when the Chaser comedian got his prize, he came up and...
At the AFIs.
At the AFIs, you see, but he grabbed it and said, look, the one thing about this is that those other blokes are so bad that they had to give it to me.
Interesting you bring up the AFIs, because I got you a present from it. We got this.
Were you there?
Yeah, I was there. We all got this at our tables, right? The L'Oreal gift pack.
What is it?
Well, it's because they sponsored, so it's got like...
Oh, look at the smelly things.
Now, unfortunately, someone took out over the course of the evening, a few people got to my thing, so you lost the...
I got two presents now.
You lost the lipstick, and you lost...
I like the lipstick.
Yeah, well, there's no lipstick in here. All you've got is the Revitalift.
Well, I can't go out tonight.
And the Sublime Bronze Airbrush Effect, self-tanning dry mist.
Yeah, what else you got there? Give us a look. What's that?
Pretty good. Now,
that's nice, isn't it? What a lovely thought. Can I have that? What about the woman?
What do you mean the woman?
Is this for a man?
I don't know.
Or is it unisex?
It's just like, because in the Academy Awards in America...
What a lovely box, John.
In the Academy Awards in America...
It's a nice box. We should give it to
the producer.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good point. Let's give it to her.
Yeah.
She might...
What's this stuff here?
I think that's like nail polish. Now, it's just like the Academy Award gift, because if you go to the Academy Awards, if you're invited, you get like a show bag that's got like Tiffany diamonds in it and stuff like that.
Oh, that'd be nice, wouldn't it?
And you get like a British Airways kind of around the world ticket and all this stuff like that.
Oh, look, this is for your face.
So the AFI show bag is just like that, except instead of getting Tiffany diamonds and around the world ticket from British Airways, you just get a bunch of crap.
Hey, listen, John,
you get in a free show bag at the Royal Melbourne Show.
This. Have you had a sniff of this? Did you? We could finish the show like this. What about hydroenergetic anti-dark circles?
You know who could use that? Ratzinger. And you know it. What's up with Ratzinger? I don't know.
He's all right. He got away from her mob in one piece anyway, thank God.
Oh, the Turks.
The Turks?
Yeah.
He kissed everybody from Berlin
Our producer's
to Constantinople.
Eh? Yes.
Oh, I'm moved, actually.
That I brought you makeup.
Yeah, anti-wrinkle and firming cream.
Might be a bit late in the day for that.
What a lovely thought, ladies and gentlemen. What a beautiful man. What an antithesis. What the opposite to what that man said at the Astor Theatre. You know what I mean?
Do you know at the AFI Awards...
Won't fit now.
I can't say this. It's really...
Is it?
It's really bad. I don't mean this in bad. It's just like... I guess it's just an interesting...
Well, you're going to say it anyway.
I'm not trying to say this in a shock way or to be bad taste. It's just like an interesting thing. Or it's not even that interesting.
What is it?
But basically, the critic... And I won't mention his name, but the critic for a popular newspaper who has just dogged me my entire television career, just has gone out of his way to be sort of like not just bag everything I do, but you can tell it's ticking away of how he can most try to undermine me, if you know what I mean. Nice. So, for example, he won't just say, "Oh, the show's boring," or "the show's bad," or "the show's unfunny." He'll try to figure out a way. He'll be thinking, "What's the way that John will be kind of most." Upset, you know, like, oh, John is trying here to do... Anyway, this guy just totally has dragged down my... Like you know, I spend 18 months on a show, and then, like clockwork, the preview of the show will always be him, and he was quite prominent, just totally laying the boots in and just taking a big dump on my project. Right? Anyway, the point I'm getting at, he passed away. So at the AFIs, it was like the thing where it's like got the people have passed away in the television and film industry. Yeah.
And what did you do?
Well, I don't know. I just thought that's kind of interesting, isn't it?
Oh yeah, but you didn't do anything.
No, I'm not. No, I didn't want to bring it up.
Make it worse.
I just thought it's. I just meant it's like.
You're not commenting on the fact that that.
Just funny when things like not funny. Like another thing, the person who really screwed up my career at the ABC. I don't even want to mention his name.
What's he dead too?
Yeah, the guy who kind of was the middleman between Ray Martin and the ABC, who you could imply was the one who just, got my stuff pulled off.
Yeah?
He died 2 years ago.
God.
It's very weird. What do you do when that happens?
I don't know what'll happen. That's what I'm being nice. I'm not saying anything against you. People tempt
I'm not implying that if you can't have a go at...
What kind of a bloke is he really? And all that. Although I must admit, I want to confess now on my podcast, I think I did fall into the trap.
Of what? Of bagging me?
Of bagging you.
Well...
But tongue-in-cheek. So I was lured into it.
I don't know how this whole juju thing works. That obviously happens when criticising. I don't know whether there's an exemption.
It's got nothing to do with Jewish.
I don't know if there's an exemption if it's tongue in cheek. You might just be.
Surely, for God's sake, it's not intentional. Somebody seduces you. Oh, what kind? See, now you should have nothing to do with that.
Yes.
But you fall in. You're seduced because they offer you something: money, chocolates, or.
You're the only person who could be bought off with. Chocolates?
Yeah.
Like everyone else's downfall is
you think you're going to buy me off with
money,
cosmetics?
Money and sex, but with you it's just chockies. Ah, dear.
Yeah.
Father Bob, coming up next, we have...
there's a very interesting person
one
next.
of your brethren, a Catholic, but a particular Catholic.
Indeed.
A Lebanese Maronite Catholic.
Sunday Night Safran on Triple J.
Father Bob Maguire.
Yep.
Thanks for joining us. We have a
swarthy
gentleman who's walked into the room.
Elias Hanna.
Thanks for joining us. Student of politics and Lebanese Maronite Catholic. I have so many questions to ask you, Elias Hanna.
Thank you.
He won't get out of here.
Guess who I saw at the AFI Awards? This is relevant, by the way. This will tie in. I saw at the AFI Awards Stephen Bracks.
Okay.
Premier of Victoria, who I never miss an opportunity to refer to as our Maronite Catholic leader. But you you are now making a claim that maybe I've been slightly inaccurate in my designating that ethnicity to him. Please explain.
Well, what you find in Lebanon is that there's actually all different religious sects in a particular form of religion. So, for instance, in Lebanon, the Catholics are not just Roman Catholic. There's indigenous groups like the Maronites, the Melkites, which Steve Bracks is a part of. They're basically...
So how's a Melkite different from a Maronite if they're both Catholic and they're both indigenous to Lebanon?
Well, basically, when... the Romans came to Lebanon, and what you had is you had a situation where they basically...
divided, did they? They drew a line.
Well, what you had is a situation where the Maronites are an eastern sect.
Yes.
And you had a situation where it was all... They believe in their own... They were converted from the hands of St. Paul.
Yes,
okay,
yes,
so they were converted.
Yes.
And then the Romans came and said, hello, what we're going to do today is, would you like to join us?
Yes.
And they're like, okay.
Okay.
But on a condition, you support the Pope as your head of authority. And they're like, look, that's great. Can we actually keep our own traditions and customs? And the Catholic Church is like, look, that's fine. So, for instance, our priests can get married, the Melkite priests can get married, but they can't move up the ranks.
Yes.
Okay.
The bishop can't be married.
Exactly.
Yes.
But the priest can.
Yes.
Now, this is another thing I need to know about Lebanese ethnic identity.
Yeah.
Now, people from the outside looking in often say that whether you're a Christian, a Lebanese Christian, or a Lebanese Muslim, or whatever, by bent of you being Lebanese, you're an Arab. And there's also Arabs say that, or people who identify as being Arabs say, well, Lebanese Christians are Arabs as well. But there's Lebanese Christians who say, listen, I know my fellow Arab, I know Arabs call me an Arab, and I know non-Arabs call me an Arab, but I'm just not an Arab. I'm a Phoenician. What is a Phoenician?
Well, it's funny you said that because a lot of Lebanese Christians who identify themselves as Maronites are actually, they're brought up to believe that they're actually of Phoenician stock. Now, what is Phoenician stock?
Yes.
Then basically what actually happened is you've got two camps in Lebanon. You've got the Christians who are saying, we actually believe in the fact that we're not Arab, we're Christian, and we've got a Phoenician background descended from the Canaanites. So they claim that they're Canaanite people. Now,
and they had a different language.
Yes, Aramaic.
Aramaic. So
that's their indigenous language.
So that's part of the reason they say they're not Arabs is because...
Exactly, because the land a long time ago, that strip of land was called Phoenicia. Now, historians are like, well, where did the Phoenicians go? They had to go somewhere. And the Mariners saying, well, we are the Phoenicians and we are different and we are exotic and we're not Arabs. And with the spread of Islam, what you had was... when people were converting to Islam, you had people calling themselves Arab. Now, the funny thing was National Geographic actually, over numerous, has published numerous articles that the Lebanese are actually from a Phoenician stock, if you may say, which actually played with the Maronites. Really enjoyed those type of articles because they actually wanted to play kind of superiority over the rest of the group. But what actually happened was recently, last year or 2 years ago, National Geographic made a new study saying that both Muslims and Christians in Lebanon are indigenous to the land, and they're actually, they did a genetics test and that they're all actually Phoenicians.
Aliens.
So what I did was I went to the American University of Beirut and I spoke to one of the professors at the Institute, and he was very disappointed because here was an organisation like National Geographic funding the project, and it was a sincere project. It wasn't politically motivated or anything like that. And what you had was the government refusing to endorse it. And if you go to the Lebanese National Museum, for instance, they've taken everything that says Phoenician on. They don't want to accept that they have a Phoenician history, because by accepting that, they'll accept that they're not actually Arabs.
Now, yes, Bob, we've spoken about this before. Remember when you had someone from the Australian Arabic Council coming in about how people seem to think, they think Arab's one of these, like, definite, locked-in things that's always
all
been there.
Muslims.
But Arab identity is very, very complicated and very fluid.
Yes.
Because it's based on where you were born, whether you spoke Arabic, and then how long you're there for. And also there's a political aspect to Arab identity, is there not? In so much as would not people like who, if they're about 80 years old now, possibly when they were young, they didn't particularly perceive themselves as Arab. They perceived themselves as either Syrian or as Lebanese or as Egyptian.
Exactly. What you find is it really depends on which region you're from. So if, for instance, you're from Mount Lebanon, which is predominantly Christian area made up of all indigenous Christian groups, you're more likely to see yourself as Maronite first, then Lebanese.
Yes.
Or if you're from the Druze community, which is another indigenous group. And even in Egypt, now there's a re-emergence of a pharaoh party, in a sense, to promote this idea that, look, we're not actually Arab as well, we're actually indigenous. Yes. And even, for instance, in Iraq, there's a lot of Christians that see themselves as the Assyrian, and it's quite interesting. It's quite fascinating because
part of the reason that someone would want to identify as being an Arab is so they can have this pan-Arab nationalism, and there's a slight sort of political aspect to that,
exactly.
Sort of reacting to the West and so forth.
Exactly, and it's, to be fair, it's a form of unification as well. It's easy to call yourself an Arab, and it's easy to group yourself in that type of hegemony. But the reality is that there isn't just Arabs in the Middle East, and it's a complex situation.
For sure, because it's like you can go back to the real olden days and say, well, Phoenicians spoke Aramaic, as you're saying, but if there's been, 5 generations of Phoenicians all speaking Arabic and not Armenian and living in the Middle East, like at what point do you stop being a Phoenician and start being an Arab? Well,
what we say, the Lebanese Christians in particular say, we don't actually speak Arabic, we speak Lebanese, a dialect of Arabic. Yes. That's their way of moving forward and actually... but look, the facts are facts. You can't deny someone's history. And... do I see myself as a Lebanese? Yes. Am I engaged in an Arabic culture? Yes. I'm proud of that. There's nothing wrong with having an Arab culture. But at the end of the day, I simply can't deny the reality that, my background is derived from Phoenician, and I'm proud of that.
Very interesting stuff. Final question. Australia is playing Lebanon in the soccer. Who do you go for?
Australia.
Bob, Australia is playing the IRA in the soccer. Who do you go for?
See what he does? Twists. Italy.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Elias, Hanna.
Thank you.
Come back and talk to us more about Lebanon next year.
Yes.
Sunday Night Safran on Triple J.
Language changes so much. You know how, like, it used to be four-wheel drives, and now there's just so much from America that's... We're easing into SUVs.
Yeah.
But I've noticed sometimes it changes to the advantage of, I don't know if everyone, but for some people. I've noticed that work experience people aren't called work experience people anymore, or they're called interns in Australia. Have you noticed that?
Never.
You don't hang around the same scenes as me. I'm always like...
Interns?
People always say
Hospital to me is interns.
No. They're talking about it. They go like, I've got an internship at the the Melbourne Film Festival.
Which means that's nice.
I have an internship at the AFI. So
that's nice. Sounds better.
I know it does sound better because they're basically still getting paid $5 a day. But there's like this implication that there was a selection thing or whatever.
Yeah, and there's a special care taken in lodging you.
Yes. So what you don't get rewarded fiscally, you get rewarded in status.
Kudos.
You're getting paid in status by being called an intern with wherever.
That's right. You're being paid. Yeah, I like that. Thank you for that.
Would you like to be my intern?
Yeah.
And, you can...
Well, I'm almost...
Get me coffee and stuff.
Yeah, the monkey on... I told you, that monkey on the monkey grinder's organ.
The other word I've noticed that has changed in Australia amongst my scene is no one lives in a flat anymore, because that makes you sound like a nana. Suddenly everyone's living in an apartment.
Yeah, that's right.
Like they're in Seinfeld or something. Yeah, I live in an apartment. Only housing commission flats.
I got a fright yesterday because I was driving along South Melbourne Street, and lo and behold, behind me was one of them Humvees. See?
A Humvee?
A Humvee. A Hummer.
No matter how expensive they are in America, imagine in Australia, because you got the cost, plus you've got putting the steering wheel on the other side.
Terrible dear, are they?
Oh, terribly dear.
Oh.
You know what I was thinking of? When I get really loaded, I'm going to get like a car, and I'm going to have a car fax.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think so.
Will that help?
So I can fax from the car and receive faxes from the car.
Why can't you... You wouldn't be satisfied with electronic text messages?
No.
In the car itself? No?
Yes.
But you've got to have the piece of paper as well, pouring out onto the front seat. Oh, sorry, I've just got a fax.
You think you don't need a fax machine, but...
I like faxes.
Do you have a fax machine?
Of course. I like to
give you
see
my
the
fax
piece
number.
of paper.
I've got a fax at home.
Well, send me faxes.
I will.
See? But you send electronic messages.
Yeah, but now I know you've got a fax.
I asked you for a man who would blow the chauffeur, is it?
Yes.
Chauffeur?
The chauffeur.
Is the horn.
Yes.
At the Christmas Eve.
And by the way, Gentiles who listen to the show, there's a thing called a shofar, it's the ram's horn, right?
Yes.
That you blow on this Jewish festival.
Right.
And let me tell you, every double entendre gag about blowing the shofar, because there's two meanings of blowing, and there's also two meanings of shofar.
God,
they've all been done to death, okay? Like rabbis were doing them back in the 60s. So just... don't get on the guest book and do kind of puns about blowing the shofar.
Oh, that's ruined the whole damn thing now.
Anyway, you didn't fax me. You emailed me.
Emailed you because I didn't know you had a fax machine.
Yes, and you're asking me, do I know anyone who can blow the shofar?
Who could play...
Yes.
Whatever it was.
The shofar on Christmas
Eve.
Because you're doing one of your
I'm going to have
interfaith.
an Arab. I'm going to have a Muslim who yells out.
Make sure it really is an Arab, not a Phoenician.
Yeah. And I'm going to have an Aboriginal man with a didgeridoo. And I thought, what better trinity than to have the child of Israel with the shofar?
Well,
you gave me a name, thank you.
Mr. Weinstein.
Well...
because he can blow a shofar. Jeremy Weinstein can blow a shofar, and he has access. He has access to one. Not everyone who can blow a shofar has access to one.
No, I wouldn't have thought that. I mean, every Jewish person haven't got this ram's horn in the boot.
No. So, but he has. He says he goes. He thinks.
Did you say
he thinks his father has one? He thinks Amy Weinstein.
Oh God! I mean, don't tell me on the night he's going to turn up with a trombone or something.
No.
I'm going to ring him up and talk to him.
Maybe I can use this as to film a prank or whatever.
No pranks. This is supposed to be special.
Because you don't know what a chauffeur looks like that much.
No,
right?
I know it wriggles like that, and you like that, isn't it?
I'm going to get him to turn up with a
I'm not going to have it. I won't ring him up.
What's that real long one that goes up on the end?
Yeah, that thing from Switzerland or somewhere.
Yeah, I'm going to get him to come with one of those, Swiss flugelhorns. Or the long one.
I should have thought that this is how it would turn out.
And then he's going to claim, and he'll claim it's a shofar.
Yes, and I'm going to say to the people in the congregation, by the way, here is Mr. Jeremy Weinstein with an instrument, a music instrument that's peculiar to the Hebrew people. And he pulls out this thing that goes 6 feet down the main aisle. Thanks, John. That's ruined the whole night for me. And it's going to go on webcam.
On web? Really?
Yes. And you can see it on YouTube.
Is Jeremy allowed to wear his yarmulke?
He can,
yes. To the service?
Of course, because we're Catholics. We're open to all. Didn't you know that? You see, and there might be a fight between...
By the way, he's dug his heels in with Judaism. Don't use it as this opportunity to kind of try to push, just...
What?
We'll try to convert him.
Jews for Jesus and all that.
Don't try to convert him.
I wouldn't try to convert him.
That would be the biggest controversy in Carlisle Street.
that he got lured into this place, and then the priest Maguire announced, by the way, Jeremy has shown an interest in the Catholic religion.
Yes.
So that'd be the talk of...
It would.
And then I turn on the Muslim, what's his word? Museum or something.
Maybe keep the Muslim and the Jew apart also.
We'll keep them apart.
I know, because it'll just get... It'll get up.
We'll have
the Muslim will be there with his
what is it?
His Moroccan...
What is it?
Ululator.
Well, something. And he'll do that, and then I'll get...
Weinstein's beating the Muslim over the head with the shofar.
No. He won't. He'll come in a car with drawn blinds.
Then the Aborigine gets in with
the Aboriginal comes at the end claiming the ownership of the whole spiritual pie.
Yes.
And plays the didgeridoo.
And then you have to come in and try to break them up. You're there with your Stations of the Cross. Oh, what's that giant sceptre you have? You're there. And
the crozier.
You're bashing away, trying to get the Aborigine off the Jew, off the Muslim.
Christmas for the... They'll all be turning up now, think they're going to see the bloody Three Stooges. Thanks, John. Is nothing sacred? We could do a new show calling it that. Is nothing sacred? In a wedding book the other day, by the way, there was a misprint. I told you that, didn't I? Almighty and ever-living God.
Yes.
Please bless this scared union.
Oh, no.
Instead of sacred.
Common mistake.
Is it?
I think so.
Oh, they all became hysterical.
Coming up next, we have Julian...
Where is he?
Duband, past director of the Liron Choir, who's going to be helping us out with Religious Song of the Week.
Give the God! Religious Song of the Week.
Last show for the year.
Father Bob.
Yes, mate.
I am John Safran. This is Triple J, and we have for Religious Song of the Week Julian Duband. Am I pronouncing that relatively accurately?
We're not too good with names, are we, tonight?
You've done well.
And now you're involved with the Liron Choir. They sing Hebrew, Yiddish, folk music.
Yep.
And you're past director, but you also helped lay down the tracks for their new album that was just released last week. And I believe it's number 1 on the charts.
Number 1 on the Caulfield charts.
The Caulfield Stakes.
That's right.
Now what is Hebrew and Yiddish? So I've got to ask. I know all the answers to this, right? But I can't.
I asked you off the air and you couldn't answer.
It's a general audience.
I'm hoping I do as well.
Yes, so I can't just sort of like
make it up. Doesn't matter here.
What is Hebrew and Yiddish folk music? Keeping in mind that I know the answer to this, so don't look at me like John. John, how can you have grown up in Carlisle Street for those many decades and not know the answer to this? I'm asking this as a kind of
rhetorical
question. It's rhetorical. It's like what happens in interviews.
Yeah. Well, I guess my version of what Hebrew folk music would be wherever Hebrew was spoken in whatever country the language was spoken, either as a kind of a religious thing or a secular thing. The Hebrew folk music would take on the the sound of that area. So if it was Greek Jews, it would have a Greek flavour. If it was Polish Jews, it would have an Ashkenazi flavour, a Hasidic flavour. So Yiddish is just generally very Yiddish and Eastern European from my experience, and now there's a big kind of revival in America. So
now people always ask me, they go, "What's the difference between Hebrew and Yiddish?" Hebrew, they've both got the same letterings generally. Don't nitpick me on every little kind of but.
He hasn't said anything.
Yeah, I'm just explaining. So they've got the same lettering.
Yes.
But English and French has the same lettering. I mean, it doesn't the same doesn't really mean anything. But Yiddish it's kind of like it's gathered up kind of the language of the particular communities that the Jews were in Eastern Europe. So a lot of German in it.
A lot of German and
Slavic languages.
And Hebrew. It's a kind of a mixture of the two. Yeah, a bit of kind of Polishy.
And Hebrew, in a very overgeneralised sense, was only used in like the biblical sense for Jews. I'm talking in recent history. So up until
for prayer, I mean, traditionally,
it was used
it's
for
only supposed
prayer.
to be in the synagogue, and you're not supposed to speak it in the street. That's like heresy,
Exactly. So after Bible times or whatever, up until the establishment of Israel in the 1948, but a bit before that, Jews didn't speak Hebrew around the world, like to each other in everyday language.
No, that's right.
They don't only speak it in liturgically.
Correct.
which makes Israel and Hebrew this interesting experiment, because, like, I guess language used to just gradually evolve and kind of organically grow and become something, whilst, I mean, not quite, but almost, like with Israel, it was like they just started a language overnight, modern Hebrew, and they just had to make up words for things and stuff.
I think Bialik had something to do with it.
Bialik?
Yeah. Not the school, the guy.
The guy.
Who's Bialik?
He was a learned scholar. I think he's called the father of modern Hebrew.
Oh.
I think that's what they named the school after.
1900 and something.
Don't know the exact dates.
Now, if all the Jews, the millions of Jews in Europe, spoke Yiddish, and then obviously there was World War II and lots were taken out, but the survivors, you'd imagine that they should have continued speaking Yiddish, and Yiddish should still be around today, but it's nearly kind of carked at.
Oh, well, a lot of people wouldn't agree with you. I actually taught at Sholem Aleichem College for the first 9 years of my teaching life, way back in the 80s.
Well, there's 70 students there. I'm sorry I pretended that Yiddish was dying out just because it was spoken by millions in Europe, but now there's 70 kids in Melbourne who are still learning it.
Okay, a few, yeah. It's just been actually... just started up as a subject at Scopus, and I know they teach it at...
That's a school,
at Mount Scopus and at the King David School as well. I think they've done it at VCE level for the first time. So a lot of people would say that it's...
But do you think it's coming back as anything more than a novelty? Like, for example, there's Latin. You could still hunt down and find, Latin classes, but that doesn't mean Latin's kind of making an organic revival.
Yeah, I guess maybe you're right. It's a novelty, probably. But, the kind of klezmer music... I think there's been a kind of a spin-off effect.
Yes.
Because I think there's been a big resurgence of klezmer music. And what's that American guy? The religious...
Matis Yahu?
Yeah, I think he's got a bit of Yiddish happening in there, and it's kind of you rap and all kinds of things. So I think there's been maybe a worldwide resurgence of Yiddish, maybe through the music, through, that
I
way.
think it's a lot of it, like, younger Jews sort of, like, just feeling around trying to, just reclaim their past or something.
Yeah, possibly.
There's that kind of aspect to it, especially when you feel like disconnected,
Yeah. Back to Central Europe, you're saying, the origins.
But, Yiddish. The interesting thing about Yiddish, this is based on a book I read by Miriam Weinstein, but not related to Jeremy Weinstein. She wrote a book called Yiddish, A Nation of Words. And Yiddish died out not only because Hitler killed all the Yiddish speakers, or half of them, was because. But then when Israel was formed, it was like I don't know if it was actual legislation, but it was definitely socially. It was like you're in a new land, you all have to speak Hebrew, and even though the most natural thing to happen amongst the European Jews who went to Israel would be to continue speaking Yiddish, it wasn't socially acceptable. So it was actually the establishment of, according to Miriam Weinstein.
You're saying the contemporary Hebrew.
Yes, it took over it, and it wasn't socially acceptable in Israel to
so
continue
when I watch the
speaking
news
Yiddish.
now and I see Mr. whatever, the Prime Minister talking, that's modern
all modern
Hebrew.
You'll only find Yiddish probably being sung being spoken in the very religious neighbourhoods, because the very religious Jews...
But you're saying that Yiddish is sung.
Oh, it's sung as a folk thing, but traditionally the very Orthodox Jews will not speak Hebrew on the street because it's a holy language, so they'll speak Yiddish.
It is that there's the only two groups that there's a very, very, very religious Jews sometimes speak Yiddish, and then also kind of on the total other side, the absolute atheist Jews who come from this culture from Europe called Bundism, where it's like Jewish socialism. They also speak Yiddish, but that's really, really dying out. I mean, and interestingly, Melbourne's like one of the last places in the world that it has even a microcosm of a Bundist kind of Yiddish community. There's nearly nowhere else in the world. I don't even think... You'd think there'd just be more in America and stuff like that, but
not sure.
Apparently not. Now, what are we going to be hearing, past director and present producer of the Liron Choir?
Well, a lot of the songs on the CD are traditional songs and kind of folk songs, but there's some that are based in the liturgy. And the one that we're going to hear is called Hallelujah, and it's actually Psalm 150. Sometimes it's known as Kol Hanshama, Let All Souls Praise God. And it's basically a song in praise of God. And this particular version was written by a guy called Louis Lewandowski. Now, good old Louis, he lived from 1821 to 1894, and he was like one of the great reform, as in liberal, Jewish musicians. So the German Reform movement, and I guess that's the forerunner of today's progressive movement in Australia. He just wrote some amazing kind of compositions, but they were very Western in nature. So he took, traditional tunes and he kind of stripped away a lot of things, and then he kind of wrapped them in this very classical, almost church-like harmonies and things like that. So, it was organ accompaniments, and it was cantorial and choir and
polyphony,
really,
all of that kind.
Yeah, the 4-part harmony happening, and it was very.
Let's listen. Where is it?
Yes, let's listen to this.
I want to hear. This is beautiful.
It was big in Germany in the.
Until next year, Bob.
Yeah, until next year.
Very interesting. So that's the Jews
beautiful.
trying to sound as much like the Gentiles to try to fit on in with their community.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's only one track on the CD. The rest is very traditional. So you're not buying a CD of church music by any.
Yeah.
It's just one track, but it's representative of the diverse kind of musical things that we have in Judaism.
It is and it's not only the Reform Jews who are trying to fit in with the outsider. I know there's like synagogue traditions that you even have here in Melbourne, where if you look at the really old photos, they're all wearing top hats because they're trying to look as much as British, as much part of the Commonwealth as possible. Thank you very much for joining us.
And Gonzo
Thank
Judaism
you.
too.
And thank you, Elias Hanna.
Yes.
Elias Hanna.
Elias.
And thank you, I've lost all my
Mr. Verspaget.
And thank you, Andrew
Cynthia.
Bartlett. And thank you again, Julian. And
thank you again,
and happy
John.
Hanukkah and Merry Christmas.
And he's thrown this because he's...
and so forth to all our listeners. And we'll talk to you again next year.